Welcome to Milan Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shakras, and in today's video, I thought I would do something super cool, at least something that I hope you all will find super cool. A lot of you have been asking for the sheet music for my treble test piece, which isn't finished yet, which is why I'm not releasing the score to it. Once it is done, I will do so, but in the meantime, I figured I'd release the score to a different piece of music that I've been working on and that I personally am quite proud of. The goal for this piece was to emulate the music of Erik Satie. I really love his Gymnopedie and his Gnossiennes, and I really wanted to write a piece that kind of had that same sort of feel and that same type of vibe to it. So that's what this piece is all about. And I think especially in the beginning, I really nailed that sound. A lot of the people who I've played this for have also agreed that it sounds very much like Erik Satie, and I just really enjoy playing this piece and listening to it. Since it's a rather simple piece, I figured it would be a really great one to release the sheet music for it, since pretty much anyone could play it, and the concept behind it and the musical ability needed to play this piece, although you do need to have some finesse with your dynamic control, that's pretty much about it, and as long as you can play some triads and play a melody line that sings above those chords, you're good to go. So I really hope that you all enjoy taking a listen to my analysis here. I wanted to walk you through the piece and show you a little bit about how to play it and the feeling and the expression that's meant to go into the piece. So if you do decide to take a look at the score and learn the piece, you can check out the next bit of this video for some tips on that. Now, where will the score be posted? Well, my goal is to post it on my Patreon page. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to post a PDF of the score on there. I'm going to work on that as soon as this video is done. If that's not the case, it will be on there in some format, but my goal is to upload it as a PDF document on my Patreon page, the link for which will be in the description below. And so if that's all successful, you can go on there, check that out, and you can just get the score like that. So let's dive into the analysis bit of this video and check out how to play the piece. And then after that, I'll perform the piece in its full entirety, and I hope you guys like that. As I mentioned, I was heavily inspired by Erik Satie's music when I went to write this piece. You can hear a lot of similarities, especially between his Gymnopedies and a little bit of his Gnossiennes as well. So, for example, if you compare the opening of his first Gymnopedie, that's the one, this one. That's Erik Satie, and then if you play mine, you can hear they sound very similar, but also they sound quite different as well. What Erik Satie did with his piece is each chord only plays once, so he'll do this chord, then he'll do this chord, whereas I played each chord twice. Before moving on to the next chord. I also took a little bit of inspiration from his Gnossienne, especially Gnossienne number 1. Personally, I find Gnossienne and Gymnopedie number 1 to be the best, but also Gymnopedie's number 2 is pretty good, and I took some inspiration from that piece as well, especially for the middle section of my piece. But the inspiration from the Gnossienne number 1 basically was kind of a vague, a vague interpretation, but I really liked that dissonant chord. And so I used that kind of idea to add some dissonance to my piece as well here. Let's see here. I just felt that was kind of reminiscent of the Gnossienne, so I always think of that as being that little bit of the Gnossienne. Then for the middle section, what Erik Satie always does in his pieces is he branches out dramatically, harmonically, really harmonically, not so much melodically, but also the melody, of course, does change. But it's really the harmony in these sections that sets them apart from the beginning section of the piece, which is always a bit more harmonically simple. So I kind of wanted to branch out as well and do some interesting stuff with the harmony. So I probably could have gone even crazier than what I already did, but essentially I just kind of went off down some really strange pathways and threw in some chords that don't necessarily theoretically make sense, but harmonically sound really cool, and that's really what I did for the middle section. In Erik Satie's Gymnopedie number 2, I noticed that there was a lot of drone notes that tend to go on, or pedal tones that happened a lot, sometimes in the bass and sometimes in the treble, so I included that there. You can see that for a few measures, the pedal tone was the A, then it goes down to the G for one measure, and then the pedal tone goes up in the right hand, and it sits on this B for quite some time, while the left hand makes some changes underneath of it. And then, like Gymnopedie number 2, this piece ends just with a very simple major triad, no fancy upper extensions or anything, just basic A major triad in the home key. And then as far as expression and how to actually interpret this piece, all the music is written out there, and a lot of the dynamics is written out on the score, so you can pretty much follow that. But if you want to add extra grace notes here and there, or even change the dynamics and change the way you feel like interpreting it, that's totally up to you. But the general layout is pretty much all written there. But for the general format, you want that left hand to, for the most part, be very quiet and have the right hand be singing above it. You don't want to have this kind of a sound. While those are nice chords, you want the melody to be the main goal here. And as a whole, the piece should be pretty quiet, but it can, of course, grow and diminish in volume in certain sections. I think it should be a little bit louder than in others. But as a whole, the performance and the musical aspects of this piece are quite simple, which is why I'm releasing it to everyone, because I think anyone really who can play the piano and who can play a triad like this, if you can do that, you can play the piece. I feel like probably the tricky section would be towards the end of the second theme, where you're jumping your hand all the way from this low A up to the A7 chord up here. That might be a tricky jump for some people to do, but the piece is so slow, and because you have the freedom to mess with the timing, if you want to take a little bit of extra time to make sure you're playing the right chord before you play it, that'll be totally fine. It'll fit right in with the theme of the piece. So now that I've talked about how to play it and the musical ideas that I thought about when I was writing the piece, let's hear it all in its entirety. I hope you all liked that simple piece that I wrote, and although it is simple, I think its beauty lies in its simplicity, and I personally am quite proud of it. I'm still a little bit undecided as a name for it. I'm kind of balancing between the names of Delicate Balance, because the piece is a delicate balance between the right hand and the left hand, and I also might call it the Gymnosienne, which is a made-up word of a mashup of the two names that Erik Satie used, his Gymnopedie and his Gnossienne, both of which were pretty much made-up words, so I decided to mash them together and make my own hybrid of the two, because as you saw, I used little elements of both of those types of music in mine. I'm not quite sure what to choose for a title, so if any of you have nice title suggestions, let me know, and perhaps I will update the title in the future if I like them. But for now, we'll call it Delicate Balance, and I hope that you all enjoyed hearing Delicate Balance played today. If you did, give me some feedback, let me know what you thought of it, and if you enjoyed the piece, if you enjoyed this video, and you want to see more videos from Milan Recording Studios, definitely give the video a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe if you want, and also go join that Patreon page if you want to get access to the sheet music for this piece of music. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.